Good evening. I wanted to share a thought with you that I had as I was getting ready for bed. I was pondering some things and really wondering that came to my mind about the parable of the three servants or the three talents. And I had spent a lot of time wondering about the last servant who didn't do anything with the money that he'd been given, the talent that he'd been given. And for a very long time, I, I, there were things about that just didn't quite make a whole lot of sense to me, like why the master took the money away, and that sort of thing. But it hit me tonight. The Holy Spirit revealed to me tonight as I was kind of just going about my evening that at the very least, as we're looking at what we should be doing in our time, at the very least, we should be praying for the people around us, and we, in our time and our responsibilities, we need to be engaging in God's kingdom through prayer at the very, very least, praying for the people around us to join in the kingdom, to be to know about God's salvation. If we aren't able to, if we're not in the position to, or given the opportunity to share the gospel, or go on large, missions or things like that, at the very, very least, we need to be praying. So I wanted to read, this is Matthew 25, starting in verse 14, and I think it makes more sense when you think about it that way. Again, the kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by the story of a man going on a long trip. He called together his servants and entrusted his money to them while he was gone. He gave 5 bags of silver to one, 2 bags of silver to another, and 1 bag of silver to the last, dividing it in proportion to their abilities. And then he left on his trip. So one servant was given a large amount, another servant a smaller amount, and this last servant the smallest amount, dividing it in proportion to their abilities, what they're going to be able to do. The servant who received the 5 bags of silver began to invest the money and earned the 5 more. The servant with 2 bags of silver also went to work and earned 2 more. But the servant who received the 1 bag of silver dug a hole in the ground and hid the master's money. After a long time, their master returned from his trip and called them to give an account of how they had used his money. The servant to whom he entrusted the 5 bags of silver came forward with 5 more bags and said, "Master, you gave me 5 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 5 more." The master was full of praise. "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount, so now I will give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together." And so, in what my understanding would be, this could be someone who's gone on a large mission, or who has founded a church, some really, really big responsibility according to their abilities, what the calling in that moment, even in that time that they're given. To the servant who had received 2 bags of silver and came forward and said, "Master, you gave me 2 bags more of silver to invest, and I have earned 2 more." The master said, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been made faithful in handling this small amount, so now I will give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together." This could be an opportunity to share the gospel with your neighbor, your loved ones, someone that does not have a relationship with Jesus yet. So you're participating in the kingdom, bringing to light those people, or bringing to light the gospel to people who have not heard it before. Then the servant with the 1 bag of silver came and said, "Master, I knew you were a harsh man, harvesting crops where you didn't plant, and gathering crops you didn't cultivate. I was afraid that I would lose your money, so I hid it in the earth. Look, here is your money back. It's interesting. I was afraid I would lose your money, so I hid it in the earth. But the master replied, you wicked and lazy servant, if you knew I harvested crops and I didn't plant, and gathered crops I didn't cultivate, why didn't you at least deposit my money in the bank? Then I could at least have gotten some interest on it. Then he ordered, take the money from this servant and give it to the one with the 10 bags of silver. To those who use well what they are given, even more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But from those who do nothing, even what little they have will be taken away. And this is where my thoughts begin to turn to prayer. I mean, what's the least we can do? What's the smallest we can do? It is internally in our own thoughts. We can pray for the people around us. We can work for the good of people around us. And if we're unwilling to invest time every day praying for our loved ones, praying for the leaders in our community, praying for the leaders of the countries, praying for people that we have just met, if we're unwilling to even spend time doing those things to help the people around us and call on God's name to be in their lives, then there's nothing less we can do. And it's just like that wicked servant who was afraid and took the little amount of money that he had and buried it in the ground. And so any reward that would have been received from those prayers, any investment from those prayers, was just wasted. And so that the opportunity for prayer, the opportunity to share the gospel, the opportunity to participate in bringing those people into the family of God will be given to the others who have been assigned with more talents, more opportunities. So that's just in my mind. I started to understand maybe a little bit more of this particular parable, and I thought I felt like I really needed to share this tonight, because this was a really big sticking point for me, because in my particular situation right now, I don't get the opportunity to share the gospel very often. I have a few neighbors that I've been able to talk with. I don't really get to, I'm not in a position where I'm able to do it very much at work. And I feel like the very least I can do is pray. And if I don't spend time praying, then I feel convicted about it. And now this particular parable all of a sudden makes a lot more sense, because it is something that I can do. And if the servant had spent that time or that talent at least in the bank, even, there would have been a return investment. So there's something that I can do to move forward the kingdom, even if it's not going out and planting churches or going on big missions. I can still be a part of the kingdom and still participate in the ways that I'm able. And God will give those, or God will receive that, and there will be reward for that in people being brought into the family, into the kingdom. So anyway, I hope that this is a blessing to you, and my prayer is that this goes to someone, maybe someone like me, in a situation where it's difficult to get out, difficult to get to people and share and you might be feeling a little bit discouraged. My prayer is that you would be encouraged by these words, that prayer is our talent, and prayer is what we can do to participate in advancing the kingdom, sharing the gospel, yes, when we can, but also being a part in the kingdom and being a part of sharing the kingdom, spreading the gospel through our prayers. God bless you, and have a wonderful evening.